Why does none of this surprise me? Let's break it down.
Let's.
You're an extrovert. And you went and you hung out with a person and you felt better. That's all. That's enough said.
I have to do that more then. That's what I have to do to fix it. This is so crazy.
I'm the opposite, where it's like,
oh my God.
If I get recharged by going to read a book by myself.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even be able to do that. I'd sit there and I'd be thinking about I got to go do something else.
I don't remember the last time you picked up a book.
Maybe I should just go work at a deli. Call it a day. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Helen.
Gosh, just when you think things can't get any crazier. Just when you think.
Just
here we are with another week with new updates.
A new update
of crazy. So I'm going to kick it off by saying, I know, where did we leave off last week? We were was it kidney stone talk? I have no memory now.
Last week, the week before that, we were talking about kidney stones.
Mm-hmm.
Was it last week? No, the week before that. And then last week we talked about long distanceness.
Oh, right.
And now this week.
And this week we have it seems like nothing is slowing down for you. But
no.
It's in keeping with the theme that I've wanted to talk about for an episode for a long time, which is anxiety. And so now you've had another thing happen. Like it's almost like you're in this stretch of, I don't want to say bad things happening, but sometimes things happen in a row and it's not good. And it seems like you can't get out of this pattern of, why is this happening? Everything's happening at once. So why don't you just say what happened this week? Yikes. I'll let you go with it.
No stones have passed unless I miss them.
Right.
And I got in a car accident.
Right.
Over the weekend. Not like, kind of bad. The worst car accident I've ever been in. So I feel like,
But even before number one is pre-number one, which is nobody was hurt, because that's the bigger thing. And I don't worry a lot. I'm not a worry wart, but part of me thinking about you living in California, a lot of times I can get concerned about the driving. Like, you're going to be on the road so much, like more of a chance of an accident, or more of a chance that someone hits you because of this. Everything is driving out there. And I don't know why it's any different than living in New Jersey, because it's not. We drove everywhere in New Jersey. It's just that now that I'm used to being in the city and we get around on foot so much, we're not so dependent on somebody on being in a vehicle. And I always say those vehicles, they're like gigantic weapons in a way, because how easily things could happen. So I'm really relieved that you're okay, first and foremost.
Yeah.
But I know this adds so many levels of stress because you're concerned about the financial things, which of course that all comes into play. Thank God you have insurance. Thank God that it's not you're even on your insurance. So your insurance doesn't necessarily go up because of it. I mean, sometimes it goes up even with no fault, or with, I don't know. Yeah, no fault. Sometimes it goes up, but I don't know. So we're not going to worry about those things because we're going to get through all those things, but it's just more on your mind of adding to you're already an anxious person. Why don't you talk about the movie you saw this weekend and how this relates? Because I can't wait to see this movie, and it's so related. It's so related to the topic, so I'm not even taking a tangent. What did you see?
Oh my God. We saw, drum roll, Inside Out 2.
Which I can't wait to see. It's one of the movies I'm looking forward to seeing with Jonathan. And I loved the first one because I think it's so clever how it depicts all the parts of us and the things that we internalize. But the new one, well, we've seen all the trailers and they've introduced the new character. And what do you have to say about it?
There's a lot of new characters.
Well, I know that. But the big one that's impacting everything is
the anxiety.
Anxiety character.
Yeah, the anxiety character is just so real. It was like, I mean, I've always loved Pixar and I've always loved those movies, and I always love like the details they put in it, and they really nailed anxiety. I don't know. It was just like, wow, it's so accurate to what it feels like. There's like one scene in particular where I don't want to ruin it for you, so it's kind of hard
you
to
can
talk
tell
about
me.
it.
I don't mind.
No.
I forget. No, because I forget.
Well, this is like a major part of the movie, so I'm not gonna.
Oh, I don't care. Tell me.
Well, she's like spiraling and having a panic attack, and the anxiety is like whizzing around the like control center and like whizzing around like a tornado. So on the outside, it looks like a tornado, and then, someone goes in to try and get anxiety out, and when she gets inside, anxiety's frozen, even though there's a tornado
Oh my God.
around her.
That is so relatable.
Yeah, I know
So
you.
relatable. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like standing there. What do I do? So, one thing that you said to me that I'm going to remind you that you said when you saw the movie is that you wished you had this movie when you were younger, because you would have been able to explain, you would have been able to tell me, like, this is what I feel like, or whatever. But the thing that's most interesting to me is I have never experienced anxiety until adulthood. I don't think that I had the type of feelings I have when I get so overwhelmed that I'm frozen, because I do have times like that now. I call you. We call each other. I'm like, I'm moving. I'm going in circles and I'm not getting anywhere. I don't know what to do. Please help me. That's where I get. And I just think mine is triggered by this like transition to digital life, partly. And then I'm wondering if that's why more younger people are having it. I'm not saying, I'm not a psychologist or whatever, but why is anxiety so prevalent? And I'm not saying it's because you weren't on social media as a child, but screens in general were becoming prevalent. I can remember because Jonathan was on the computer learning Reader Rabbit, so the screens were there. It just wasn't, as much as now. But I do think there's something to be said with the connection, because I've always been a live in the moment person, move through. I always had my to-do list. I always felt so accomplished every day. I was like, check, 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 got things done. And I don't ever remember having feelings of being frozen the way that I do now. And you have that often, right?
Yeah.
It's like part of your daily life.
I wouldn't say daily. I just feel like it gets more aggravated. I feel like for me, a lot of my anxiety stems from like my ADHD, and then like being medicated for that makes the anxiety like not as bad. But I will say that like I still, especially like after these past 2 weeks, like the car accident and the kidney stones, I've been really anxious these past few days. Obviously, like post car accident, very anxious. And even just like last night, I woke up at like 5 a.m. this morning and I couldn't go back to sleep because like my mind was just like racing. So I do think it might be I don't know.
Can I ask you a question? I'm going to pretend I'm interviewing you for a project right now, because there's something no, for real, for real. Because if I was somebody who didn't now experience it at all, I would have so many questions. I would need to understand, like, what do you mean that you can't, what does anxiety mean? Can you describe it? What feelings do you have? Like, if you are trying to describe to someone, this is what it feels like, this is what I'm defining as anxiety in my, what would you say? Could you describe it?
I feel like Inside Out really nailed it.
Okay. So maybe use some of those examples. I'm going to guess a lot of people haven't watched that movie.
That's a good question. It's hard to think about because it's like very hard to pinpoint what exactly it feels like. I think the spiraling thing of like the movie that I was just talking about, where it's like a tornado, but you're rendered like immobile, is very true. Where you feel like it's kind of just like the best way to describe it, I feel like, is feeling really overwhelmed. Like when you feel really now I'm doubting it. I'm like, do I have anxiety?
Yes, you do.
I can't even.
No, but I like this
Thanks.
because I don't know. I like this because it's
okay.
Try and describe it.
For me, it's always kind of been the overactive thinking in my brain of anxiety, and a lot of it is just like, okay, here is a really good explanation of what happens when I'm having really bad anxiety, especially at night. This is like when I can tell it's anxiety, because I will be thinking about so many things so fast that I don't even finish one thought before I'm already thinking about the next thought. It's like I'm interrupting my own sentences in my head to start a new sentence, and it's just like building on top of each other like that.
Wow.
Where it's like, I can't even stop myself because, you know, I'm having a stream of consciousness, and then my stream of consciousness interrupts that to say something else. And then it's like something else on top of that, and then something else on top of that. And it just like, that's when I get that a lot at night. Not a ton, but like last night would be a good example of when I have that of
right. Okay.
feeling like, oh my God.
So now the other part of this, because I always think this is amazing when it happens to someone who is so good at getting shit done. So you, which is weird because it's like, you would think, oh my gosh, you have so much anxiety, probably not, and you're always thinking you can't get anything done. But you are a person who gets so many things done, which is amazing. And the thing is, we're very similar in that way. Like I get through I know I have to do a ton of things, and I'm like powering it out and powering it out. And I think my anxiety comes from, here's the list. Why do I never feel like I get them all finished? Why is there always something more? Why can't I get, and that's where I start to get paralysis for my own self. Because I think all these things should take this should take 5 minutes. I got to post this, do that, record this, edit that, do that. Got to make this phone call. Got to call this. Got to change the auto payment on that because I changed that credit card. My brain is just non-effing stop. But my problem is I go through the things and I still feel like there's so many things left. And that's when I start to feel paralyzed, like I didn't accomplish anything. And I feel like I've been just going since 8 o'clock this morning. I was up to move the car, and I've been going. And I feel like, oh my God, I still have so many more things to do.
Okay.
And help.
I will say, I feel like I've developed a very good system to help with that feeling. 'Cause I used to feel like that too.
Okay.
Where it's kind of like a tech, it's a tech setup essentially, where it's like you have a list of like, well, how I have it now, it's inspired by like a tech company productivity and engine, like software engineering, but I've adapted it for myself.
Okay. Explain.
My to-do list now is broken up, I'm going to say like into a few categories. So I have like a brain dump of just everything I need to do. I have a next up, I have an in progress, and I have a done. And then I also have a waiting for feedback, like if I'm waiting for something. So I have 5 categories.
That list just gave me anxiety.
Wait, okay. But here's the thing. I have these 5 categories. It's on Airtable. Shout out to Airtable. So I have all these 5 categories. At the beginning of the week, I can brain dump everything that I need to do. And then I can pick out what should be priority for the week from that, essentially. And put that
and then
into,
do
like,
you
next
mark them?
up.
Oh, do you mark that?
So I can move them. So I have put everything I need to do in brain dump, move like the top 10 priority things into next up. And then from there, every day when I open my laptop, I go on Airtable and I pick the 3 things that should be in progress for that day. And I hide everything else. Like I can collapse them. So all I can see are the 3 tasks I need to get done for the day.
Oh.
And I don't really add a new task to it until I've completed those 3.
Oh.
So once I complete those 3 and I check them off or move them to done or complete, then I can do, okay, what are the next 3 most important things, like most prioritizable? Like what's priority that needs to get done?
Okay.
And because like we work together, I also have like work mixed with like life things, mixed with like comedy things. Because when I separate it, then I get like 2, especially like in the morning, it's usually all socialized, like socialized are the 3 tasks, then more socialized stuffs. And then towards the end of the day, I start putting in like, okay, what are some comedy things I need to wrap up? What are some like life things I need to handle? But keeping it at like 3 to 4, 5 maximum tasks in my like on my radar at a time.
Visual.
Because then I don't get overwhelmed by like, oh, my list is 35 items. I'm never going to get through that. You're never going to feel good about that. So I think that's been really good where I know you like to write your list. So maybe you could like brain dump your whole list at the beginning.
I haven't written my list. It's always on notes now because it's like I don't even carry a notebook around. I can't keep track of myself. So I have it in notes. But maybe
you know what you should do?
Tell me.
You should
do tell.
brain dump all your things on notes. But then each morning when you wake up, write down the 3 things you want to do, like handwrite them in your notebook and just put the 3 things. And when you check them off, you check them off on paper and you delete them from your phone. And once you finish those 3, you go to your phone and say, what are the next 3 things I want to put on paper?
Okay. Okay.
I'm telling you,
That's
just thinking of only having to do 3 tasks makes everything more manageable.
right. I like this. I think I like the system a lot. I know where my own where I may get derailed just because here's a great example. I mean, yesterday I had a bunch of things I wanted to do, and then by noon, let's just say, I think it was around noon, I was like, all right, I want to get these things done by noon. And what happened to me is I got a call from a client who wanted to talk about an edit we were in the midst of, and I ended up on the phone for almost an hour with him about changes and, discussion about next steps and things. And I'm like, well, I didn't account for a whole hour being eaten up by that. But I needed to do that. That's not something I can put off. So,
But there's something else. This is another thing that I think um I don't know if I just posted it, but I just got a piece of content ready for Socializer. You say social media is not an emergency. And
oh,
honestly, a lot of our tasks are not emergencies. So
okay.
I think if we kind of think of them like that, like why do you feel so stressed that like I also am guilty of being like, oh, I lost an hour of the day. It's like, no, well, you were talking to a client. Like you're still
Oh,
doing something in another way. Like you didn't lose an hour. You just saved an hour of future work from having to call client on your to-do list in a week.
oh. Yo, this loss thing, I think I've talked about this before where instead of losing, considering it, flipping it around so it doesn't feel
Yeah.
like you lost it. And I forget what my I don't know, I recorded something about it, like not feeling like it's a loss. So
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree with that. I just, okay, that's a good one. And then I also think that, I don't know, for whatever reason, I feel that I'm so compelled because I have to do these many posts a week and all of that. And I know it's not an emergency, but it's also a cadence that I've committed to. So I'm thinking how okay, great example. I can't even stay on topic in this podcast. That's how today is. I'm so I might be spiraling, but I'm trying not to. But bring it in, Helen. Bring it in. I get upset with myself when I say, okay, I'm going to post on LinkedIn 2 times a week. But then when things got crazy and then I had another project, then all of a sudden I might be going on this shoot. Now I have to look at this deck because I'm going to Croatia and I'm going to shoot TikToks and I have to be prepared for call. I have to be prepared for these client calls. So suddenly, wow, guess what? LinkedIn falls to the back and I'm not posting on LinkedIn twice a week, like I said. And I was doing it for such a good period of time, so steady. And I preach to people, just commit to it and do it. And I cannot even do it myself. And then I feel like, whoop, failure.
But you're
Immediately.
posting on other places. Like I know we need to post on LinkedIn, so I'm going to take off my work hat and put on my personal hat.
Okay, do
It's
it.
fine. You're
It's
already
okay.
posting on social media enough.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm just trying to, and then what I try and do then is make myself feel better and say, all right, I was posting 2 times a week for a good period of time. It's not a big deal. Just take a break. This is just going to be like for a couple. And what happens is because that gets put to the side, other things get put in front. And then I kind of lose steam and I never get back to it. And so I also think there's this problem that the digital world, we think we can get so many things done because everything takes 2 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. But all the things that
Mm.
take 2 minutes don't really take 2 minutes because it's like, think of a caption, write a thing. Maybe, oh, I have to change that edit. Oh my God, I made a typo. Do it over. How many times do I do a whole video, put the title on something, and I'm about to post it? Oh, it says hellosocialize.con instead of .com. I have to go back to the CapCut project. I go back and they're going to export it again. It's just like, I just think that it's like a treadmill
Well,
and I'm
that's
never
why
getting
I'm
off it.
saying you got to do 3 tasks at a time and not try and yes, because that's the problem with the digital age. As you're gonna
It is.
digital age, it's like our to-do lists are pretty endless because we take our work home. Our work isn't just like 9 to 5 at an office, then you leave your
Yeah.
office and you go home and there's nothing to do, so it follows you. So that's why you have to like set up the mentality of like working hours, or set up the mentality of like once you complete these tasks, like you can be done for the day.
Right.
And I do think, I know we kind of mentioned this at the beginning, I do think a lot of younger people have anxiety because of technology. And like, I just think about it 'cause I also like history. Like in the 70s, you
Mm.
weren't necessarily getting like Vietnam War updates straight
Oh,
to your
yeah.
phone the way you can see what's going on right now
Right.
with like the
In
touch of
real
a
time.
button and in real time. And you can see all these major like tragedies, atrocities, like terrible things
Mm,
happening. You can see them in like live time. Whereas like
yeah.
30 years ago, you'd probably find out about it 10 years later once like a documentary about it came out, someone
Right.
published a book, and even then it wouldn't
Be
go
that
viral.
mainstream. It wouldn't be that mainstream. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's for sure part of it. And you know what's really interesting? When I think I have no time or I haven't been outside all day and then I decide I'm going to go out, make with intention, I'm going out, I'm going for a walk or whatever. When I am out, it's like it melts away. I'm in that moment, I'm doing that thing, and I very rarely get stressed. Like, here's a great example. Megan and I were like, we have to get together. We have to meet. We just have to meet in person. We have to go over some things and we'll have a coffee. And we ended up for 2 hours sitting in a coffee shop. And at that time, I didn't feel like I can't be here talking to her. I felt completely relaxed. And it was completely okay that I wasn't tackling the things on my to-do list in that 2 hour period. And it was so good to get away from even just my laptop. Or I mean, I had my phone with me, but it wasn't like I was worried about what's my list and what's my next thing on my phone or what am I going to post right now. I was even doing a little editing lesson with her, so it wasn't even like we had our phones put away. I was showing her some things, but for some
Mm-hmm.
reason the in-person connection removed so much of my anxiety and stress. And when I was on my way home, I didn't even feel stressed to get back into to my laptop. I was like, I'm going to stop at a store. And I went into Club Monaco. Maybe I did a little shopping. And it was it was like, talk about retail therapy. Like, I didn't even mean it to be retail therapy.
Why does none of this surprise me? Let's break it down. You're an
Let's.
extrovert. You're an extrovert, and you went and you hung out with a person and you felt better. That's all.
I
That's
did.
enough said.
I have to do that more then. That's what I
Yeah.
have to do to fix it. This is
Yeah.
so
I'm the
crazy. And I
opposite,
was,
where it's like
oh my
if
God.
I get recharged by going to read a book by myself.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even be able to do that. I'd sit there and I'd be thinking about I got to go do something else. Like if
I
I was
know.
by myself,
I
I
don't
don't
remember.
think I'd feel as
I don't
I
remember
don't
the
think
last
I'd
time
feel
you've
as
picked up a
relaxed.
book.
No. I picked up the book to read your chapter and I had to make a TikTok and I'm like, let me read it. And then I got all emotional. Yikes. But yeah, no, you're right. Human connection. So that's what I need to feed myself more. So it's interesting because tomorrow I was supposed to do a shoot, a still photography shoot for Blistex. And I was going to send the stuff to the photographer and I was going to let him send me some pictures and back and forth and whatever. And then the client, she wasn't wanted to come. And then at the last minute, she said, oh, I let you send me photos. So I said, well, if I'm going to do that, then I should be with him in person. That way I can make sure and send the photos and and now I'm actually so happy that I'm going to leave this apartment for a chunk of the day tomorrow. I'm out of here. I'm going to go there. And I know it's going to be a much less stressful day for me when I'm with him at his studio. We're doing that. And then, yes, I'll multitask and I'll be sending photos to the client and maybe I'll be shooting some content for myself. I am going to walk down the block because I'm going to be on a podcast and they happen to be located nearby. So we're going to do that. So I have things that I'm going to do, but I already feel that tomorrow is going to be way less stressful because I'm going to be you're right. I'm going to be with somebody in real life, IRL.
Yeah, that's mainly your thing. It's like when you have human interaction, you feel a lot better.
I guess so. I just need more human interaction. Maybe I should just go work at a deli. Call it a day.
A deli.
I could be
That's
having
what you
human
pick?
interaction. I don't know. I was just thinking about
Human
Eisenberg's.
interaction.
Well, scoop ice cream or something. I still love those jobs. I always say that if I was really, really desperate and out of work, I'll go back to be a waitress. That's what I always say.
No, you always used to say that you'd be a tour guide in New York City.
Oh,
You
that's a
remember
good one
that?
too. I love that.
Talk about all the
I
people you
still,
can meet.
oh my God, that would be so amazing. I almost think I should do that at some point.
You
So it's
should
funny because
you should set up,
Jonathan's calling me because he's at Six Flags today. So he's calling me to report
of
in, I'm
course.
sure.
You should create an Airbnb experience, and it's just like experience New York City with the mothership.
Oh, Wait, how would that work? Explain this to me.
Like on Airbnb, you can set up experiences.
You can?
Yeah. Wait, I
Oh,
just
just
had
add that to
that's
the
a
list.
genius idea. I know. Don't need another thing to do. But
Wait, but that might be an actual fun thing to do. Oh my God.
we'll workshop it.
Oh my gosh.
We did it in Italy. We went on like a food tour, and it was like an Airbnb experience that like someone like this expat in Italy had set up this food
I had
tour
no
and like
idea.
took us on the tour.
And how was it?
It was great. I loved it. Steven loved it. It was so fun. We thought it was going to be like, we were a little skeptical at first. It's like, oh, you're just paying to like get chauffeured from like restaurant to restaurant. But it was really nice because then you get to go to all these places that you wouldn't have otherwise. And then you like learn more about the food. And it was really
Wow.
good.
Oh my God. I love that. I didn't know. I didn't know that was an Airbnb experience.
Yeah, you should look. There's food tours in New York. You should look on
Wow.
Airbnb. This should be an ad at this point.
This is great, except that I always say, like, I love these things and I should just do them when in retirement or something. Because right now, really, that would be
When are you going to retire?
a productive way. I never, because work just keeps getting more crazy that I'm actually going to shoot TikToks in Croatia. You can't make it up. I'm so excited. I mean, I'm just excited at how things are evolving, because even though it's production still, it's much less stress for me production wise, because I'm not responsible for the crew, the creative, the shots for the main shoot. I'm just there and the whole shoot's there. So it's like the creative is accessible to me. I see what they're shooting things, there's hair and makeup going on, all the things, but I'm not responsible for any of that. I just have to figure out what bits I'm going to capture with this that's going to make great content. It is so much fun. Even though it's long and grueling days, I'm not going to lie. I'm like they already said, be ready early on. We're going to be starting early on Tuesday morning. So here we go. It's going to be 7 a.m. probably to 7 or 8 p.m. So it's like full on. And it's tiring because I don't like mornings. I'd rather start at 10 a.m. and work till 10 p.m. But whatever. We're going to start at 7. And it's exhausting. But when I'm in it, I get so excited because, I'm interacting with people and then I'm coming up with great creative ideas and I get to work with the talent and it's so much fun. So that's actually more productive for me financially than doing an Airbnb tour, even though that would be equally as much fun, I'm sure.
That was Helen's 5-minute anxiety spiral.
That was a spy.
I don't think I said anything for a solid 4 minutes.
I want to cry. Anyway.
It's okay. How should we, how do you,
I don't know.
Maybe it's time for therapy.
Yeah. You think it can help me though?
Yes.
Because even though I have the anxiety, like basically I'm happy. So I don't feel like I'm missing joy. Like today, this morning, tangent, but I went for a walk because I got up early and I was like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. I'm up so early. I'm moving the car. I'm going to take a walk. I went through the park and I went over by the portal and I had some fun moments without recording it of interacting with the people in Dublin and doing some dance moves and seeing if they would copy me. And it was so much fun. Not at all recorded, and it will not even be posted because it was just pure joy and fun in the moment. And I don't feel unhappy.
Okay. Therapy isn't just for people who are unhappy. Like, you don't have to be depressed to go to, like, that's not the only like way you can get, it's not the only reason you can go to see a therapist.
It seems like that's why you should go.
No.
Oh, brother.
Helen, you can like find one that specializes in anxiety and like talk about ways to work through the anxiety. It's more about like, if you went to see a therapist and your big thing was like you're feeling a lot of anxiety, you would work through like, why do you feel this anxiety? Like, what does it feel like? Why, like, where does it feel in your body? Like, how does it make you feel? And like tactics to work through it versus therapy isn't just like, oh, you're sad, let's cheer you up.
No, I know, but I just think I guess I feel that it's should be for, I guess that's how I've always thought about it. Like when you have issues that are taking you down, then that's where you go and find out what those
Would you
issues
say your
are.
anxiety takes you down sometimes?
Some days it takes me down, gets me.
So
It gets me,
then
but no,
you're
it doesn't make me
qualified.
all right, but it doesn't make me unhappy. Like I can still get up, leave the desk and be completely happy. Like I'm outside and I'm talking to people and I completely leave it all behind and I'm in the moment.
It's
But then
great
I
that
get
you're
back to the
happy.
moment and I'm then I get back to it and I'm like, I don't have enough time in the day. I can't get it all done. Something as simple as like doing a bank rec. Like I got to do bank recs on the company and I'm just like, oh my God, I get behind like 4 months. Okay, I'll do it next week. I'll do it next week. It always goes to the bottom of the list and it goes into the next week and next week, next week. And then I'm like doing 5 months worth in one sitting and it's annoying.
Okay, can I say something?
Yes, I'm spiraling.
You are. You don't have to be
Help me.
unhappy to go to therapy. It's fine that you're happy and you could still go to therapy. I think it's very helpful. You can try it. You don't have to do it. Or you could just do some research on coping with anxiety around like productivity, because that seems to be the root
Yeah.
of your issues, is you have anxiety around your productivity levels.
Yes. That's very accurate. I didn't even know you could specify the type of anxiety you have until you just described it.
I'm not
No,
saying
that's
you have
really
like
smart.
X kind of anxiety, but like what I'm hearing from this episode is that anytime you're, and from experience, that anytime you have anxiety, it's really about productivity, running out of time. I can't get everything done. I have anxiety like that, not as severe anymore because I've kind of been able to release myself from the productivity addiction. And my
Okay.
anxiety is now more, I feel like, life and emotional and social. Like I
Ah.
had the anxiety I was having last night was like, what if the car crash was worse? What if like things
Oh.
were worse? What if like, yeah. And it's not like, that's my anxiety. Your anxiety is all like, and not
Wow.
to discredit anyone's type,
Mm-hmm.
but your anxiety is really like task based, of like
Definitely.
not feeling like
Definitely.
you get your tasks done. Mine's on more of like an emotional big picture, life is over kind of anxiety.
Okay. So then just to be clear on why I would think mine is trivial for therapy compared to yours, that, okay, mine's just productivity. Like, what's the big deal? I'm getting shit done and just
But
get over
it's
it.
affecting you a lot. So that's, it doesn't really matter if you think you're like, I wouldn't say yours is more trivial. I just say yours is different, but it still affects you in a way that is deep.
Okay. That's fair.
I'm not saying you have to go. I'm just saying like
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious that you're like, I'm not unhappy, so I don't need therapy. Like that's not the only.
Well, I guess I just think this alone has been almost like therapy for me because I never really thought about it in terms of, and I don't think it's bad to put things in categories. I like it. It makes me feel organized in a way. So now I can actually almost forgive myself for having anxiety because I'm like, oh, I see. It's productivity related. Now I feel better
It's
already.
all productivity. It's productivity related, and I think something you can do, and something I've
Yeah.
had to do, is like when you get to the end of the day and you feel like you haven't accomplished anything, like write down all the things you did, or look at your list and be like, is
Huh.
is something going to go severely wrong if I don't tackle one of these tasks right now? And the answer is most
Right.
likely no. Nothing tragedy related will happen if you forget
Right.
to send an email and you wait until 8 a.m. the next day.
Yeah. This is
So I think you need to take the severity and urgency out of some of the tasks. But I also know that comes with like being in production, that you have that urgency when a production job is only like 2 weeks.
yeah.
But on the other hand, like socialized stuff or even social media stuff and even production stuff, when you're doing stuff at night and you're like, oh, I didn't get anything done today. It's like, well, is anything on my list insanely urgent that if I don't do it right this second, I'm going to lose a client, I'm going to lose money?
Right.
Odds are probably not. And then you'll feel better about revisiting it in the morning and saying, with like a clear head of like, okay, now I can write this email to this client about this thing, and
Wow.
there's no typos. I'm not
Julie,
getting stressed about it.
I think all your research has made you has qualified you almost for some type of being a helper, because you've clarified so many things right now. And I've always said you're so insightful when you're looking at a project and you have a whole different angle on it than I even saw. And I love that. It's like
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite things about working with you, when I think very linearly about the thing, and all of a sudden you come at it from another angle, and I'm like, poof, and my brain just goes, I never even thought about it like that. That's just what you did for me right now. I did not process any of it like that before. And it's the clarification has changed it for me right now already. It almost makes me feel, it does make me feel better that I can
Hey.
have a place to, now I have a focus for what is causing me the feelings and how I can fix the feelings, because it is endless and it's not. And some days when I'm super productive and I feel like, wow, man, I'm so good because my productivity was high, and I bam, 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 bam. And then the very next day, it's like I forget all about it. And I'm just in the same, I'm never going to get anything done. I'm behind. I can't get it all done. And then I know part of it is maybe figuring out what to say no to. Like, what can I not do? What should I just turn down at this point? I don't know. But that's been a part of my work ethic growing up, is always seize every opportunity, make it work. Like, I can do more. What the hell is that about? Why am I like that? I don't know how to fix that. I really don't. Any guidance on that was welcome. My new therapist, Julie Polisi.
Oh,
You're
no.
my therapist. I don't need one. I'm good.
Send this. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good. You fixed me in
I'm
one
glad
episode.
I could fix your anxiety, and now I don't know. My anxiety is a lot better because my anxiety, as I said, a lot of it comes from my ADHD, of like that kind of like I can tell when it's like very that related, if that makes sense.
Right.
A lot of like the talking on top of my stream of consciousness, that's like an ADHD thing of just like being so overactive in my brain. And then I have a lot of my anxiety. We don't have to solve my anxiety now, but a lot of my anxiety, as I said, was like more life emotional. And I think it's a lot more about like, oh, the future, and like freaking out about the future. And like, once you see Inside Out 2, I think it'll be funny because like the character is like, oh my God, like, yeah, oh my God, like, because like if she makes this decision, that'll change like the rest of her life. And it's like having that like kind of all or nothing mentality about like small decisions is unhealthy, of like one,
Oh, wow. Yeah, I never think that way. That's really interesting. And I wonder if that's an age thing too, though. That you're at an age where you think all these decisions impact everything in the future. I don't know.
I feel like I've always been like that though. And I've also just always had a
Yeah.
little bit of social anxiety. Like just it's just overthinker. Like that is really
Yeah.
my anxiety, is the overthinking. But I'm a lot better than I used to be.
Do you I know you journal a lot, but do you do any kind of meditation, out of curiosity? Do you think, or no?
Only when I can't sleep at night. I think I do sometimes. Like I don't use them. I've been trying to be more aware of it. Like I'll have like little mantras, like before I perform, like kind of stuff like that. Or I try to at night sometimes, just like be calm. And I want to get more into it because I think if I started the day with like a short one, it would like be really helpful. It's just sometimes really hard to get and this is where the ADHD comes in, of like, oh, I literally can't focus on that because like I'm scatterbrained.
Wow. So here's an interesting one, because I never really thought about meditating. Well, I've tried it a few times and I thought, oh, this is, my brain's just wandering. It's not for me. But I do know too that when I'm sleeping, or when there was times I couldn't sleep, I would just like count or breathe or whatever the things I would do in my own head, like I didn't go in through my nose, out through my mouth. I didn't like talk to myself like that, but I
Yeah.
would just slow my breath down. So this is a perfect example that I'm going to give you right now. Whenever, this is almost like a habit, whenever I get my blood pressure taken, for as long as I can remember, I always do slow breaths. I think in my mind, this is cray cray, so be prepared. I think in my mind that I can control my blood pressure. If I focus, this is crazy. I know I'm putting it out there for the world, but it is nuts. But I will breathe in, breathe out, like super slow breaths in and out, not nose, mouth. I don't even pay attention, but I just know that ever since I can remember getting my blood pressure taken, I felt that I can control my blood pressure if I breathe evenly and slowly. And I've always had great blood pressure. And recently, a friend of mine, cousin of mine, sent me a video and said, "Oh, would you do me a favor and look at this video? It's a meditation video I'm working on, and I just would love your." She wanted my production opinion, so I said, "Okay." I had no expectations. I'm watching this video. It's 3 minutes long, so I watched her video because I was going to give her production input. And I heard her talking, and it's called, by the way, Meditation is Breathing. And it's 3 minutes long. And all she did was explain in nice, calm voice, but just a normal voice, not like one of those creepy meditation voices, just a nice, normal voice.
Yeah.
Meditation is simply breathing. All you're going to do is focus on something and just take a nice, slow breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And she just talked like a normal person and spoke about all meditation is. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to sit any which way. You don't have to close your eyes, open your eyes, whatever. The point is to just breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose. And when I was doing it with her while I was watching this video, and it occurred to me that I have been meditating my whole life without realizing it. I just never sat with my hands crossed, never do. But when I have things that stress me out, I immediately go, okay, hold up. I immediately start breathing like I'm getting my blood pressure taken. And I've calmed myself down through multiple situations by doing this, not even knowing that I was doing it. So that is how I'm going to wrap it up. I know that the heat is on because you're so warm. You don't have the nice air conditioning flowing in the house where you are. No. So I'm going to let you go. But I want to thank you for this therapy session. I owe you one. I think I owe you one.
You really do. Especially I did this with no air conditioning and I'm sweating.
I turned it off in here for what it's worth. I think
our summer episodes need to be expressed 20 minutes so that I could do them without having to turn the air on.
Okay, well, absolutely. But thank you for helping me through this one. And I think, we'll figure out what we're doing next time. But all I can say is you've changed my mindset, and I'm going to approach my productivity problems in a different way now. So today we solved a problem. Happy about that. Maybe not just for me. Maybe there's other people that are just like me out there that are just happen upon this, and you've helped them. So maybe you should start. You can hang a sign.
Open for business.
Open for biz. Yours truly,
Helen and Juli.
If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a review. We love being here, and today was especially helpful for Helen, because I got a nice free therapy session and I'm going to work on my productivity. If you are interested in any social media help, together we are hellosocialize.com, and Julie on her socials, go follow, because she's trying to build her comedy following and we need your support. At Julie Polisi, JuliPolise. I'm not even going to bother with my handle. Just go follow Julie. Have a great day. Bye.